You're not really fine. You're just good at looking like you're fine. Yeah, I just read a line in a book that said we're real good at having polite, distant conversations with no real depth. You're not known. And one of the reasons why, it's not safe to be known. You know, most of the men that I know, most of the men that I've worked with professionally, a lot of their life is dependent upon the image that they portray to other people. That they feel the only way they can be successful, the only way they can have what they really want in life is to continue to portray this image. So if your feeling is that your career, that your life is all based on how you look, then the truth is you're not really fine. You're just good at looking like you're fine. You're good at looking like you have everything under control, and you really don't, which can lead to a lot of loneliness. A man alone with his secrets is in a difficult position too. He feels like his secrets make him totally unique, that no one else could possibly struggle with some of the things he thinks about himself, that he believes about the world around him. When I was deep in my using years between 2006 and 2010, I remember being at a company dinner. I was in a room full of people, and I felt so isolated. I felt so alone. And that had, again, nothing to do with the people in the room. It had to do with the conversation I kept having with myself about, I had all of these secrets that kept me from feeling safe around those people. That's a situation that is hard to overcome because you have to begin to trust other people. And when you can't trust other people, being vulnerable is counterintuitive. You wouldn't want to be vulnerable with someone you cannot trust. And so how do you build that sense of trust so that you can begin to be vulnerable with them? What you want to do is try to work slowly down, like imagine going deeper and deeper into someone's life, like walking down a flight of stairs. You would take one step down and wait and see if the other person takes a step down with you. So you might say to them, you know, some days I just don't really have as much control over my life as I would like to have. And see if the other guy says, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Or if he's like, yeah, that's not really me. You can begin to tell that they're not the kind of person that you want to have a deeper conversation with. By the same token, if you jump from the first step to the 30th step, that's a way of keeping people at bay. That's a way of kind of shocking people so that they don't want to get to know you. You've gone too quickly into a space that feels challenging to them. And they're like, you know what, I'm good. So yes, it's going to take some time to build some relationships. Understand that part of the process is to work slowly, deeper and deeper with that particular person. At any point, you can decide, no, this person doesn't feel like the safe person I need them to be. Once you begin to build those relationships and begin to be known, what happens is those things we've done to protect ourselves, at least around certain people, we don't have to wear. We don't have to be as engaged with. As we become more known, we become less lonely, right? That sense of being known is what changes for us. The first stone that we talk about in Storm Ready is building that inner circle. It's going to take time because you've probably got some men in your life, and maybe it's back to that polite conversation that doesn't have any real depth to it. You've lived a life without going deeper, and because you've lived a life without going deeper, it's going to take time to develop that. One of the reasons why men struggle with this is a high degree of them make their wife or their partner the only person who knows them. The problem with that is a lot of what you're sharing with your wife or your partner, they may have serious trouble with. Having men in your life who you can share those things with that have been down some of the paths you've been down makes it easier for you to see you're not alone. You're not unique in your secrets or your fears or some of the beliefs you have that you feel make you an outsider. One of the things I want to encourage you to do is find places where you have permission to be real. There are some places in life where you can be vulnerable and the people around you will be vulnerable. They agree that that's part of the contract. What that might be is a grief group where if you've lost a family member, or if you've lost a friend, you've lost something important in your life, you can go to a grief group and the expectation is we're going to be vulnerable and we're going to treat one another well. Some church groups allow this, but I was also shocked at how that sentence that I used earlier, this idea that we can have polite, distant conversations with no depth, how often that applies in church. We can talk about our knowledge, we can talk about what we've learned, but don't ask me about what's really going on for me. Church may not be a safe place. Why is this one of the foundation stones of storm-ready men? When you're struggling, you need people you can talk to and tell them, I'm struggling, and this is really how bad it is right now. If you have men around you who are willing to hear you and treat you well, then it's much easier to navigate through those problems. Having more than one of them is important because they're not always available. At one point, a friend of mine was preparing to move. That was scary to me because he's somebody that's in my inner circle, and I didn't want to lose him. Understanding that's why you want 3 to 5 men is maybe one guy's available on a Monday night, but he's not available when you might need somebody on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I know some of this is our culture. Some of this is, we have those phrases of man up or put on your big boy pants or I'll give you something to cry about type responses to the things that really hurt us. And the reality is that if we don't face these things directly, they just go deeper. And the deeper they go, the more fragile we become, the more likely we are to crumble when one of these storms hits. And that's what I want to help you have, that connection with other men. So when one of these storms hits, you have a place to turn where you can feel safe, where you have a group around you that knows your strengths, knows your weaknesses, and can help you move forward without invalidating you in any way. So on the next episode, what we're going to talk about is building spiritual depth. We need relationships with human beings, but if we do not have a spiritual foundation, we're going to be in trouble no matter what. There is a place where people can help us, and there's a place where only our connection with a higher power, with God, with something bigger than ourselves will actually help us. Get storm ready, and I'll see you on the next episode.